This is why we have to fight feminism, because this hate group gets its tendrils in every area that it can and causes harm to men, specifically the psychology field. They get a hold of it and do harm to men and act as controlled opposition. Now, look at this. I went to a $5,000 man camp in California, and it took a surprising turn. The turn is that it's run and controlled by women, women who are hostile to men. And they're charging men $5,000 to be abused. Of course, men go for it, right? There's the men and there's the loving women in charge. Now, the guy who wrote this article, he's acting like he's neutral about this. He isn't. He's a male feminist and he's a part of the controlled opposition. He's promoting this misandry. Now look what he has to say. Have you ever had someone stare right into your soul? Right? It's not a pleasant experience. I felt a loss of control. My stomach lifted and pressed against my chest like that moment of weightlessness, right? Right after takeoff, when the plane slows its rate of climb and settles into ascent. I feel like we're missing whatever you're wanting to connect on, the woman across from me said. Life coach talk for I see through your bullshit. Right? You see, this is what guys get from therapy. I see through your bullshit. You don't take accountability for your misogyny, for your maleness. Now let's get into this. It was day 3 of an eye-opening week. I was having an intense one-on-one treatment session on camera, and soon I'd be sharing even more with a group of men I met 72 hours earlier. I was in California to cover Story, a 5-day male-only retreat. How can it be male-only if there are women there? In which a group of dudes unpack, so he's calling these guys dudes, red flag, and refrain from their relationships to masculinity. There. So this isn't about their personal crisis, individual crisis. This is about them being male, right? What their problems aren't with being masculine. Their problems with this is with society treating them like dirt or personal relationships. And you're going to see that that's the case. But what makes it unique is the camp is founded and run by women. That's not unique, you liar. Women take control of all male spaces. This is commonplace. And they are controlled opposition. Now, she began her career working in a licensed treatment facility. They started running women's retreats under a coaching company called Pivot. I bet the women that go there, they don't get the I can see through your bullshit expression, do they? Their concerns are treated as if it's not their fault, right? And they're shown empathy. Right? They're not treated with hostility. Now she offers male-only camps too, and they feel especially important today because men, we keep hearing, are in crisis. This is what I'm talking about. This guy is a male feminist. Men aren't in crisis. They're being attacked by women. I've read a stream of coverage about the manosphere. There you go. What does the manosphere have to do with these guys' individuals' problems? Nothing. This is what right here proves everything I just said about this guy, right? I'm not going to read all this garbage, by the way. What I hadn't heard much about was a solution, right? Was anyone helping men open up to each other? This is gaslighting 101, guys. You know what happens when men open up to society. We get shit on. Actually, that it's going to be the same here. These women are going to tell these men to man up. They're going to tell them that they are the blame for what's happening to them, right? The same thing is going to happen. They're just these guys, they're they're going to be fooled. These women are going to wear a mask of empathy, all the while being hostile and attacking them. Their purpose is to take away any of a man's self-respect and ability to defend himself against misandry, right? To pull confused men away from toxic influences. Wow. Wow. This talk about the fox guarding the hen house, right? What's what's more toxic than a feminist run facility, right? Let's see. But there was a catch. Glass agreed to let us observe her camp, but only if we participated ourselves. See, all you male N-words, you got to know your place. So, in other words, she doesn't want this guy to be a neutral observer. She wants to make sure his personal ego is crushed so that he only gives her side of it. Her lies, spins her propaganda. If we want to know what happened inside these closed retreats, we need to go through the process alongside other men. I bet if a woman was there, she didn't have to, right? And if we did, we cried, we bonded, we confessed secrets and traumas we kept buried for years. You don't give your secrets and your weaknesses to women. And what it is, this woman knows she'll have, what is that? She'll be able to extort him. If this guy gives a bad review, she has fodder to hold over him. This is what this is about, right? Proves the evil of this woman. The experience taught me plenty about men's silent mental health crisis. What do you mean he taught? This guy knows what it is. And people working to provide an antidote to the manosphere. There you go. So these guys' personal problems have nothing to do with the manosphere. So this is a brainwashing cult. That's what it is. It's to tell men that if you hear, well, the biggest issue about the manosphere is that there are men that have voices. It gives men's voices. Now, I'm not part of the manosphere. I know it's toxic itself, but for different reasons. One thing I can say about the manosphere is that guys at least are allowed to speak their minds. So this is what this is. This is controlled opposition. What does it mean to be a man? Who gives a shit? As a journalist, I've been taught not to make myself the story, right? Whatever. I'm skeptical about this project. I don't believe you. I don't believe this guy was skeptical at all. I believe he's always a male feminist. And he's part of this controlled opposition. He's part of the scam to get guys to go to this place, spend hard-earned money to be told you're the part of the problem, that everything lies at your feet. And don't go to the manosphere or any place that might give you any ideas, right? I wondered whether the environment could, in fact, be harmful. Well, it is, dude. Let's see. I'll skip ahead. Like I said, I'm not reading all this garbage. Glass asked participants not to use their phones at camp, so I left mine in the car, which for most journalists feels like a bit like losing a limb. She doesn't want any of this recorded so that people can see what she's up to, what these evil women are up to. It's that simple, right? Now, listen to this. Now, they bring up the manosphere, but what does this have to do with this? Matt told us he was grieving the loss of his father, a former NFL player and college football coach. What does that got to do with masculinity and the manosphere? Like, this is a personal issue of loss. For him to pay $5,000 to come here means that he has no one to talk to at home. Either that or he just likes wasting money, right? Now, whose fault is that if people don't want to hear this guy grieve, right? It's not his fault, but who are they going to be blaming? Who are these women going to be blaming, right? Jason recently lost his wife to breast cancer. And again, what does this have to do with the manosphere? And was coming to terms with her death, but also the deaths of his own identity as a caregiver. Wow. This must be the misogyny guy, like all these women talk about, right? I bet this guy does get called a misogynist. Jeff was concerned about his children departing for college, leaving him and his wife as empty nesters. These are true blue issues that guys have to deal with. Death of family, uh, having purpose after the children are grown. Yeah. Again, all guys, what does this have to do with the manosphere? And all three wanted to relate better to their identity as men, to understand what that role even means and how they can define it for themselves. Well, you can't define it for yourself if you're going to a bunch of man haters. They're going to define it. And they're going to define it in the most harmful way they can. They want you guys knowing your place. And besides, why are these guys asking this question? They're told from the beginning. To be a man is to provide for others and not expect any appreciation or reciprocation. That's what men are told. So why they come in here? What do these guys think they're really going to find? They're just desperate for a space to open up, and they really think these women are going to care about them. We brought our own baggage too. Both Dave and I were raised as Catholics, and unlike David, I didn't carry my faith into my adulthood. In our teenage years, we both resisted our sexualities. Okay, this is a gay man. Most likely he's part of the LGBT. He's a man hater, and here he is providing controlled opposition, saying, here, guys, pay $50,000 to be brainwashed, to have your self-respect crushed, to be blamed for what others do to you. Right. Took me a few days to drop my guard. I don't believe any of your horseshit, dude. No, I'm going to bypass that. I'm going to bypass all his, like, why would I give a shit about his therapy, his fake therapy? No. We'll get the most important part. Let's see. Yeah, we develop meaningful relationships with one another. Really, are you guys going to keep in contact? Are you going to be all best friends now? Right. Look at this. All five of us came through the door wanting control. Do you see what I'm talking about, guys? These women are saying you are supposed to accept the fact that you have no control. You're not supposed to be the control of your life. You're supposed to let us women control your lives. Man, Jason wanted to control over their grief. No, they didn't want to control over their grief. Unless people were telling them to. People were telling them to man up. So maybe that was it. Right? But also they want to come to terms with their grief. See how everything is framed for man. We all want to control over our emotion, our relationships, and our lives. See, it's not just their emotions, dude. Men want control over their lives. They want to say in their lives, and they want to say in their relationships. You have to read between the lines what's going on here. These women are saying you men do not deserve a say in your lives and your relationship. That's what's going on here. That's what this indoctrination and brainwashing is about. It's destroying men's egos, their ability to see themselves as human beings. Now, taking on the manosphere, I'm not going to read any of this because everything I read before say has nothing to do with the manosphere. That's why it was brought those men's personal relationships, like that guy whose fathers died. What's that got to do with the manosphere? The guy who lost his wife to cancer. What's that got to do with the manosphere? The guy who sees his kids go away and leave them. What has that got to do with the manosphere? Nothing. Let's see. I'm just going to quickly skim through this. Yep, there's the there's the male quisling right there, the gay LGBT guy who's pretending that he's a part of this. He made up his bullshit story. And there's the women putting on the mask, pretending that they're on men's side, and they're really telling them the problem lies with you. It's because you don't open up to people's rejection. It's not the fact that society holds you down and says we don't want to hear your problems. You're the problem. You just don't open up, right? That's what's going on here. But I probed glass on whether this camp, which costs more than $5,000 to attend, can really make a difference outside these walls, right? It can for some, she says. She doesn't want the camp to be a retreat for only rich men. In other words, she wants all men indoctrinated. But the only problem is she wants to be rich. So she's only going to hold it for rich men. This is what her confession is right here. She'd like to damage all of us, but she wants to be paid good money. This woman is making easy bucks off of destroying men. And here's this disgusting man hater, this young gay man pretending that he's one of us when he's one of these women right here, right? She hopes to win grants to allow her to offer scholarships to more men. Yeah, she wants to say, look, if I want to make the bucks for destroying men. If I can't get it directly, it'd be great to have government funded. It would be great to have men's taxes pay for me to destroy the common man. That's where, hey, governments around the world, they fund evil like this. This is where men's hard-earned taxes go. Now, I covered what I need to cover about this. This is absolutely hateful, everything about it. And the fact that men allow this scam artist, she needs to be jailed. Notice, but the pictures, right? They don't show her face here. I shouldn't say that though, because I think they showed it up here. But the point is, these women are absolutely evil. They're taking men at their most vulnerable, and they're using it to destroy their ego, their self-preservation, their instinct to protect themselves and see themselves as human beings. What's the expression, right? The devil comes to you when you're at your lowest. We'll end it here.